Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have 12 articles in this episode for you, and all the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. The first one we have here is off of Breitbart, and it says Alabama Republican Representative Mo Brooks introduces one-line bill to repeal Obamacare. On the same day that the House of Representatives cancels its vote on RyanCare, Alabama Representative Mo Brooks filed a simple one-line bill to repeal Obama's signature health care law. The Huntsville Republican titled the bill Obamacare Repeal Act. It is short and to the point. December 31st, 2017, the Patent Protection and Affordable Care Act is repealed, and the provisions of law amended or repealed by such act are restored or revised as if such act had not been enacted, the bill reads. Brooks, a member of the House Freedom Caucus, told constituents last week that he was a no vote on the Obamacare repeal replace bill offered by Republican Speaker of the House Paul Ryan. Also last week, in an interview with SiriusXM host Alex Marlow, Brooks called the Speaker's bill a horrible replacement bill. Brooks went on to call the bill the largest Republican welfare program in the history of the Republican Party. If the American people want to repeal Obamacare, this is their last best chance during the 115th Congress, Brooks said. At a minimum, the discharge petition will, like the sun burning away the fog, show American voters who really want to repeal Obamacare and who merely act that way during election time, the congressman concluded. My question on this would be, let me scroll back up here to where, if I can get it to cooperate with me. Well, it's not cooperating for some reason. Feast or famine, chicken or feathers, it goes too far or not far enough. Where he says, okay, effective as of December 31st, 2017, the Patent Protection and Affordable Care Act is repealed. The provisions of law amended or repealed by such act are restored or revived as if such act enacted. That's it, as if it had not been enacted. Okay, how does that work with the fines that they put on people who did not sign up for any health care when they file their taxes and they were fined by the IRS for not having health care? Does that the money that we've had to pay out, those of us that didn't sign up for health care? I mean, if this never happened, we'd have never been fined. How does that work? I think I already know the answer to that, but hey, you know, it says what it says. Do they mean it? The next one we have here is off of BizPack Review. And as soon as the hamster catches up. Okay. Washington Post fact checker gives Bernie Sanders 3 Pinocchios for big lie about Gorsuch filibuster. The Washington Post accused Senator Bernie Sanders of trying to obscure the truth about plans by Democrats to filibuster Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch. Checker blog published Wednesday. Writer Glenn Kessler for lying and using verbal gymnastics to push a convoluted claim that there is no filibuster planned. The report cited an exchange on CNN's State of the Union, March the 26th of 2017. And it says, Bernie Sanders, independent of Vermont, of filibuster, I am for the Republicans obeying the rules that currently exist and not changing those rules. And the rule right now, for good reason, are 60 votes. And Dana Bash says, well, okay, the rules do allow for a filibuster for a Supreme Court nomination, but it certainly doesn't require Democrats to use that. And Sanders says, you're using the word filibuster. And Bash says, because that's what it is. And Sanders says, all it is, no, it's not. There will be a vote. If he doesn't get the 60 votes, he does not become Supreme Court Justice. That's the rule right now. It's not like people are going to be there standing for months and months bringing down the government. That is what the current rule is, and I think it's important that it be maintained. And there is video of this if you want to see it. It says, but Kessler argued the standard of 60 votes is a false talking point of Democrats. Sanders is using the technical language of arcane Senate procedures, he wrote. He claims that Democrats are not engaging in a filibuster when they demand 60 votes from the Senate before a vote on the nomination can be held, Kessler continued. Instead, he says that Republicans need to invoke to bring the nomination to a vote, which is a technical way of saying they need to bring a filibuster to an end, take place. Only in rare circumstances anymore do senators seek to hold the floor in continuous debate. Kessler concluded that Sanders and Democrats are simply misleading about their efforts to filibuster, something they always complained about when they attempt to block votes when they were in the minority. Sanders was perfectly happy to call Republicans' demand for 60 votes filibusters. He should admit that's what's happening now rather than engaging in verbal gymnastics to obscure the truth, Kessler wrote, awarding the Vermont senator 3 Pinocchios, which is characterized as mostly false. Once again, Kessler added, there is no traditional 60-vote standard or rule for Supreme Court nominations, no matter how much or how often Democrats claim otherwise. The next article is off of Liberty Headlines. It says, Dems increasingly sound like they will follow hard left's wishes for Gorsuch filibuster. And this says, in considering the nomination of Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court, Senate Democrats increasingly appear to be listening more to hard left interest groups than to traditionally liberal voices, including their own voices from not too long ago. With each passing day, more Democrats announce not only that they will vote against confirming Gorsuch, but that they will join a filibuster against him. This even though weeks ago, some of them expressed disdain for filibuster in such circumstances. Noted longtime liberal law professor Cass Sunstein, a veteran of the Obama White House, laid out a good overview Monday of the 4 main options facing Democrats on this nomination. They can either, 1, return to what once was normal order and confirm Gorsuch because he clearly passes the character and competence tests, or 2, return to the normal order, but interpreted differently so they could vote no based on his ideology, but not go so far as to filibuster against his nomination, thus letting a simple majority rather than 60% confirm him. Or 3, announce full-fledged opposition based on liberal principles, meaning that confirmation wars are here to stay, which would be pretty terrible news. Or 4, admit that it's not all about political power, and thus offer blanket opposition to just about anybody Republicans would nominate. For the record, Sunstein prefers option 2 because it reflects sensible understanding of the system of the separation of powers, and it would be a form of statesmanship. Long had been default position of most leading Senate Democrats: vote yes on some Republican nominees, vote no on many others, but only try to filibuster the nomination to death in truly extreme circumstances. Consider what the second-ranking Democrat in the Senate, Richard Durbin of Illinois, said in January. I will meet with Judge Gorsuch and support a hearing and vote for him, both of which were denied to an eminently qualified nominee presented by President Obama. For the uninitiated phrase, support a vote, in Senate parlance, as long understood almost universally to mean an up or down vote without the procedural block of a filibuster that technically would keep an actual confirmation vote even from taking place. On Tuesday, though, Durbin moved straight to Sunstein's option 3, saying that despite Gorsuch's resume and testimonies to his good character, Durbin has a fear that he would favor corporations and special interest entities of American workers and families. Not only will he vote no, but Durbin will support a filibuster. Likewise, back in February, California's Dianne Feinstein gave a good initial response to Gorsuch. He's a very caring person, and he's obviously legally very smart. I think we are dealing with someone who is impressive, so we'll see. Now, Feinstein, the ranking Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, seems still conflicted about whether to filibuster, saying on Monday that she had not taken the lay to the land, or try that again, the lay of the land. The mixed messages and apparent mixed feelings of Democrats were in perfect view from Vermont's Patrick Leahy, a 42-year veteran of the Senate and long key player on judicial nominations. In a single day, Leahy said quite clearly he was not inclined to back a filibuster, and then later issued a threat to do just that if Gorsuch does not answer yet more new written questions the Democrats will give him. In turn, Senate Republicans are expressing disgust at the Democrats' shape-shifting, noting widespread praise for Gorsuch from across the political spectrum, including not very conservative editorial boards at a home state paper of Democrats on the fence. Republicans vow to confirm Gorsuch even if Democrats do mount the filibuster, against which even liberal editorialists advise them. They would do so by using the so-called and misnamed nuclear option of a rule change that would disallow nomination, killing filibusters against Supreme Court justices. As a result, late last year, Republican Senate octogenarians like Orrin Hatch and John McCain expressed opposition to using the nuclear option, but now Hatch, McCain, and McCain's moderate ally Lindsey Graham of South Carolina all have signaled a willingness to use it. One way or the other, the Republicans are saying they will ensure Gorsuch gets confirmed. If the Democrats filibuster, Republicans will nuke the filibuster with the rules change. The end result of the Democrats' tactics, therefore, might be to deny themselves even the option of killing a future Trump Supreme filibuster, even if that nominee is less impressive than, and thus less likely to unify Republicans as strongly as Gorsuch. The next article that I have is off of BizPac Review. And it says, reporters blindly sound alarm on Trump's gold Easter egg and end up with egg all over their faces. You gotta love this. Journalists were in full mockery mode on Wednesday when the Easter eggs being sold by the White House were announced. They just couldn't wait to mock President Donald Trump for selling a golden egg. And one tweet comes out here from the White House. It says the White House wooden eggs are available in blue, yellow, pink, green for $8.50 each, and the gold egg is $14.95. Here's a close-up of the official 2017 gold White House Easter egg. All have stamped signatures of POTUS and FLOTUS. The New York Times' Julie Davis was among the first to notice, and she tweets out, "Forget those silly pastel rainbow colors of White House Easter egg rolls of the past. Trump's Easter egg will be gold." But she was far from the only one. Jonathan Lemire tweeted out gold, of course, and Dennis Perkins tweeted out, "This delusional egomaniac branded and gilded the Easter eggs." Chris Liu tweeted out, "Great metaphor. Trump tries to kill golden goose of the healthcare and environment. American people get gold-painted wooden eggs for $14.95. And Beatrice Elizabeth tweeted out, "Trump's first White House Easter egg will be gold. Also, I never noticed how similar Donald and Melania Trump's signatures are." They were too quick to attack and forgot to check history. Anthony Zurcher tweeted out, "Before people get too bent out of shape about the gold White House Easter egg, they had a gold one for sale last year too." Interesting, and no one cared to report that on breaking news. Julie Davis tweets out, "It appears my memory of Easter egg rolls past was wrong. Seems Obama had a golden egg too, not a Trump innovation." Your memory? Yeah, that's it. Not everyone believed it wasn't what it appeared to be. Another partisan attack came out that says, John Lemire, "Obama's egg was also gold. Did you have the same tweet for him?" And another one tweets out, "Julie Davis, this is what's wrong with the media. First report, then check for accuracy. Stop trying to make news." Another one says, "Julie Davis, yet your first instinct was to bash using Easter as a backdrop. You're less than credible now over an Easter egg." Another one says, "Julie Davis must have missed that day in journalism class. You know, the one, check history first. Sure, CNN would hire you, though." Yeah, probably. Another one says, "Julie Davis, why do any research when you can blindly sound the liberal alarm?" Another one, "Julie Davis, and yet you did not hesitate to assume the worst. Interesting." I love it when they get their butts handed to them. The next one here is off of Liberty Writers. It says 99% of Americans didn't see who Devin Nunes had secret meeting with outside the White House last week. Last week, House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes delivered explosive information to the public and President Trump about Obama's surveillance of the Trump team. We already know that Obama used unmasking techniques to spy on Trump and his team during the campaign. However, now we know how Nunes got his hands on that information. Nunes met with a source of Obama's spying scandal on the White House grounds last Tuesday night. Jack Langer, communications director for the White House Intelligence Committee, revealed Chairman Nunes met with his source at the White House grounds in order to have proximity to a secure location where he could view the information provided by the source. The chairman is extremely concerned by the possible improper unmasking of names of U.S. citizens, and he began looking into this issue even before President Trump tweeted his assertion that Trump Tower had been wiretapped. Who the exact source is still unknown. However, there is now suspicion that the intelligence may have come from the top intelligence officers themselves. Nunes did confirm the meeting and also revealed that Trump and his staff had no clue that he was at the White House at the time. The next article is off of Liberty Writers, and it says, heads will roll. Message for Democrats shocked every reporter in the room. Attorney General Jeff Sessions showed the world that he means business when it comes to the safety of the American people. Sessions spoke at the White House today about ending sanctuary cities, and it's clear that he's done playing Mr. Nice Guy. In a single week, there were more than 200 jurisdictions refusing to honor ICE detainer requests with respect to the individuals charged or convicted of serious crime. Countless Americans would be alive today if these policies of sanctuary cities were ended, Mr. Sessions said. Today, our Attorney General is ending these policies, and there is video on this if you care to. Sessions said Monday he'll begin punishing sanctuary cities, withholding potentially billions of dollars in federal money, and even clawing back funds that had been doled out in the past. Today, I'm urging states and local jurisdictions to comply with these federal laws. This is the warning shot. Jeff Sessions has officially given Democrats a chance to do the right thing and protect legal Americans. Now it's up to them to either follow the law or pay the consequences. Sorry, Democrats, Loretta Lynch is gone. You can't get away with disrespecting our laws anymore. The next one is off of Liberty Writers, and it says, she's done. What Maxine Waters just admitted on the House floor will have her expelled from Congress. Oh, we could only hope. I mean, I'm kind of sick of these headlines telling us that, oh, this one's done and that one's gone and, you know, this is ruined, this one and whatever. And then the next day you see their faces back in the headlines all over again with some other ridiculous garbage. But hey, I'll play along. Let's read this. Representative Maxine Waters, Democrat of California, went too far yesterday when she stood on the House floor and spewed the most anti-American rant ever said by a U.S. representative. Not only did she imply that white people are not as patriotic as black people, she also admitted that she is using her role in Congress to fight against the good of the country and take our president down no matter what he does. Waters openly stated that her goal as a congresswoman is to make sure that, now this is a quote, make sure that Trump does not remain president of the United States, unquote. And there is video of this if you want to see it. That is a threat against our president. She says, my position against the president and his administration is clear. I oppose this president. I do not honor this president. I do not respect this president, unquote. Waters didn't just limit her hate to the president. She also attacked the American people by claiming that Trump supporters are not patriotic. Waters took it upon herself to speak for everyone in the black community and said the following. This is the quote. When we black people fight against this president and we point out how dangerous he is for society and this country, we're fighting for the democracy. We're fighting for America. We're saying to those who say they're patriotic, but they've turned a blind eye to the destruction that he's about to cause this country. You're not nearly as patriotic as we are, unquote. This is low even for a Democrat. As an elected official, you're supposed to represent all the people, not just black Democrats. This woman is as vile and racist as they come. Expulsion is the most serious form of disciplinary action that can be taken against a member of Congress. Maxine Waters just proved that she is not fit to hold office and should be expelled immediately. And the key word there is should be. She won't be. Because nobody does anything about this stuff. They just let it go on. They let it ride and they let it go on. It's just all part of the matrix. They never stop the foolishness. They allow it to continue. The next article that we have is off of Western Journalism. It says, Trump tapping Chris Christie to lead new opioid drug commission. President Donald Trump is set to tap New Jersey Governor Chris Christie as the head of a new drug commission devoted to combating opioid abuse. The position is part of the White House Office of American Innovation, led by Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. Christie, age 54, has experience tackling the opioid epidemic. He previously signed legislation aimed at limiting access to various opioid drugs. The New Jersey governor has been working with Kushner on the issue informally for several weeks, according to a report from the Washington Post. Brad Jaffe sent out a tweet here that says Chris Christie's next act, leading Trump commission on the opioid epidemic, an issue he has been passionate about. There's going to be lots of different pieces to try and solve this problem, Christie said after declaring the issue a public health crisis back in January. It's a disease. We're doing this because it could be anybody, he added. During his monthly Ask the Governor show on WKXW Monday evening, Christie discussed his background in fighting opioid addiction. It's an issue I'm incredibly passionate about, and I have been since 1995, Christie said. Anything I can do to help families who are desperate or who are in desperate straits, young people or older folks who are in the throes of addiction, that's what we should do, and that's what I'm going to try to do, he added. In New Jersey alone, heroin-related deaths have risen 22% between 2014 and 2015. In his final State of the State address, Christie promised to fund and expand more mental health and substance abuse treatment centers, as well as work with State Department of Education to develop new curriculums dedicated to drug prevention. Our friends are dying, our neighbors are dying, our coworkers are dying, our children are dying every day in numbers we can no longer ignore, Christie said. Limiting the supply of opioid-based pain medication is just one step to prevent addiction before it starts. Opioid deaths make up more than half of America's drug-related fatalities, claiming 52,404 lives. The issue has become so severe that it's responsible for the first drop in U.S. life expectancy since 1993. The next article is off of Liberty Headlines. It says, Big Labor put on notice with bills to open government contracts to non-union businesses. A resolution taking a stab at big labor is moving forward in Congress. If passed, it would prohibit project labor agreements, which is government-required union membership for federal construction projects. The Fair and Open Competition Act was introduced in the House by Representative Dennis Ross, Republican of Florida, as H.R. 1552. And as a companion bill, the Senate by Senate and as a companion bill in the Senate by Senator Jeff Flake, Republican of Arizona, as S-622. The Oversight and Government Reform Committee is considering the House version and the Senate version as referred to the Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee. The resolution aims to level the playing field and promote competition between union and non-union construction firms for federal projects by eliminating project labor agreements called PLAs. PLAs, sometimes called community workforce agreements, require all construction contractors on federal projects to submit, the page jumped, hang on, to submit themselves to unionization as a condition of working on government-funded construction project. In his first month in office, President Obama signed an executive order encouraging federal agencies to mandate PLAs for federal construction projects. Specifically, Fair and Open Competition Act prevents the federal government from hiring construction contractors which require or prohibit employees from joining or entering an agreement with a union. It also prevents discrimination against or preference for construction contractors based on their agreement status with unions or labor organizations. Associated Builders and Contractors, called ABC, a construction trade association with 21,000 members, applauded the resolution. When mandated by the government, PLAs discriminate against 86.1% of the private U.S. construction workforce that chooses not to join a labor union and drive up the cost of taxpayer-funded construction by 12% to 18% compared to projects not subject to PLA mandates. Ben Brubeck, ABC Vice President of Labor, Regulatory and State Affairs, said in a statement, in addition to ABC, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the National Association of Home Builders, and 11 other associations and groups came out in support of the Fair and Open Competition Act in a coalition letter that urged representatives to vote in favor of the resolution. Taxpayers are getting less and paying more when PLA preferences and mandates are required during the procurement of federal and federally assisted construction projects. H.R. 1552 will curb waste and favoritism in the procurement of construction projects and ensure taxpayer dollars are spent responsibly by letting the market determine if a PLA is appropriate, said the letter. While major labor unions have not made public statements on the specific resolutions, it's safe to assume that they are against the measures. Labor unions regularly push for adoption of government-mandated project labor agreements. Infrastructure without project labor agreements guarantees fair wages is unacceptable, said Richard Trumka, AFL-CIO president, in a February op-ed. Project labor agreements provide big business for unions on both the federal and state level. Because of a PLA, union workers will handle the bulk of a $4 billion construction project at LaGuardia Airport. This is going to provide strong union jobs for years to come for our members. And when this $4 billion project is done, there's another $4 billion project waiting. So all told, we're looking at $8 billion worth of work over the next few years, said Richard Kennedy, president of Sekansa USA Building, which won the LaGuardia construction contract. The Wisconsin Assembly passed a measure prohibiting PLAs on the state level earlier in March, and the Iowa State Legislature is considering a similar measure. The next article is off of libertyheadlines.com. Trump gives CIA new authority to authorize drone strikes. The testy nature of the public relationship between Donald Trump and the CIA is well known, with the agency putting forth a number of unproven and laughably ridiculous assertions that Trump is working with Russia, as well as the president publicly criticizing the intelligence community for these claims. More serious, however, is the fact that the CIA monitored and essentially ousted former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. So with Trump engaging in a relatively public and behind-the-scenes war with the CIA, it may come as a surprise that Trump has given the agency even more authority to conduct secret drone strikes. While Barack Obama earned himself the title of drone bomber-in-chief, pressure from human rights groups, activists, and independent media coverage of CIA drones dropping bombs on families, children, wedding parties, and other social gatherings caused enough of a controversy that the administration attempted to mitigate the bad public relations as it was getting by allegedly taking away the authority of the CIA to control the drone program and given to the U.S. military. Barack Obama, the Nobel Prize winner and the left's favorite warmonger, was well known for evaluating and approving the kill list every morning before beginning his daily performance of receiving worship and fake crying after questionable acts of gun violence. Indeed, during Obama's term, the President of the United States was perhaps the world's best-known assassin. But the alleged removal of carte blanche from the hands of the CIA meant nothing. In reality, it only added a few seconds of bureaucracy to the process. The Pentagon also tends to report many of its drone strikes, while the CIA does not. Trump, however, has now removed that little detail of bureaucracy and is allowing the CIA the carte blanche it is used to operating with. As Slate reports, President Donald Trump has given the CIA new authority to conduct covert drone strikes. The Wall Street Journal reports this authority was apparently exercised in the targeted killing of al-Qaeda commander Abdu al-Khair al-Masuri in the Idlib province of Syria late in February. While the agency has such authority in the past, the Obama administration, under pressure from human rights and civil liberties groups, gradually shifted control of the drone program from the CIA to the military over the past few years. By the end of the Obama administration, according to the Journal, the CIA would use drones to locate suspected terrorists, but the military would carry out the actual strike. The distinction is important for transparency. The Pentagon reports most strikes while the CIA doesn't. Trump's order is meant to apply to operations against ISIS and al-Qaeda in Syria, but it could also allow the agency to conduct strikes in other countries. This may already be happening. The Journal notes that suspected U.S. drone strike in Pakistan earlier this month was not acknowledged by the Pentagon as it normally would be. Between Trump's public display and his private decisions was even picked up by Slate, who wrote, Trump's allies have suggested an ongoing campaign by the deep state to undermine his presidency. Still, it appears Trump does trust the CIA to kill people. So what is Trump actually thinking? Did his skirmish with the deep state apparatus show him who the real boss is? Is he finally getting the message and backing down, giving the CIA what it wants little by little? Certainly, if he is truly in battle with the deep state, giving the CIA permission to launch drone strikes at will is perhaps the worst possible strategy to fight it. With this setup, if Trump gets out of line, all CIA needs to do is drone bomb a mosque or a school or homesick puppies. After all, the buck stops with the president. Trump will be blamed for the atrocity, and the CIA can sit back and let him take the heat. This new decision certainly sounds ill-advised for someone battling the intelligence community. Or is there another explanation for such a bizarre decision? Are Trump and the deep state really fighting at all? Or is he just another puppet serving his purpose for the next 4 or maybe less years? The complexity and secrecy surrounding the United States government, and especially the deep state apparatus, it is the deep state after all, is currently such that no one fully knows for sure. However, whether there is a rift between Trump and the deep state or not, giving the CIA authority to launch drone strikes on its own is clearly a very bad idea. Next article is off BizPac Review. Liberal White House reporter April Ryan gets spiced not once, but twice. And it is glorious. Liberal White House reporter April Ryan just got spiced twice. When the majority of Americans finally realized that this Russian collusion interference issue is nothing more than a Democratic red herring, President Trump may find it easier to make headway on issues that won him the office in the first place. Of course, that gets to the heart of why they won't stop beating those Putin drums now, does it? It's no wonder that the administration officials, like the White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer, get impatient from time to time. With all those Ruskies supposedly hiding in the closet, it's hard to imagine how any of these guys can even use the restroom in peace, much less get any work done. In his Tuesday press conference, Spicer unleashed his frustration to reporters on the whole Trump-Russia issue amidst yet another round of questioning from Washington Bureau Chief for American Urban Radio Networks, April Ryan, declaring, I've said it from the day that I got here. There is no connection. If the president puts Russian salad dressing on his salad tonight, somehow that's a Russian connection. I appreciate your agenda here, but the reality is at some point, report the facts, Spicer continued. Every single person who has been briefed on the subject has come away with the same conclusion, Republican, Democrat. According to The Hill, Spicer then pointed out that Ryan was shaking her head. I'm sorry that disgusts you. You're shaking your head. I appreciate it, but oops, let me stop that. There we go. I love it when they just start throwing these videos in here. He says, at some point, April, you're going to have to take no for an answer with respect to whether or not there was collusion. Later in the press conference, Ryan asked another question about President Trump's meeting with Condoleezza Rice, pointing out that Trump had made a disparaging remark about the former Secretary of State in 2006. April, hold on, Spicer said. It seems like you're hell-bent on trying to make sure that whatever image you want to tell about this White House stays. Noticing that Ryan was shaking her head yet again, Spicer said, I'm sorry, please stop shaking your head. After the briefing, Ryan got home and tweeted this. Oh my God. There's a video of the conference, and the caption on it says, Sean Spicer has heated exchange with reporter April Ryan. And it's USA Today tweets out, Sean Spicer tells reporter April Ryan, stop shaking your head. April Ryan tweets out, Lawd, L-A-W-D, which about sums it up either way you look at it. Op-ed news opinions expressed are solely of the author and do not necessarily represent the views of BizPac Review. Oh, nice little disclaimer there. Oh, I tell you what, if I had a son, I'd want him to be Sean Spicer. I don't see how in the world he holds it together as good as he does. I'd come totally unglued and unhinged on those people. Oh my goodness. And the last article in this episode is on BizPac Review, and it says Hillary dons leather superhero cape and scolds O'Reilly and Spicer for sexist, racist behavior. She just won't go away. To the thrill of liberal women everywhere, Hillary Clinton donned her superhero cape and came out swinging against White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer and Fox News host Bill O'Reilly. The former Democratic presidential candidate spoke in San Francisco on Tuesday at the Professional Businesswomen of California conference, firing shots at President Trump's administration and criticizing Spicer and O'Reilly separate incidents with women that same day. Just look at all that's happened in the last 2 days to women who were simply doing their job, she says. Clinton claimed Spicer patronized April Ryan, Washington bureau chief for American Urban Radio Networks, during an exchange at Tuesday's White House briefing. Spicer's frustration with Ryan's questions about the administration's alleged ties with Russia brimmed over as he tried to move on to other topics, telling the reporter to stop shaking her head at him. After another confrontational question, a short time later, Spicer accused Ryan of being hell-bent on portraying a certain image of the White House. April Ryan, a respected journalist with the unrivaled integrity, Clinton says, defending the correspondent, was doing her job just this afternoon in the White House press room when she was patronized and cut off trying to ask a question. Clinton also slammed Fox News anchor Bill O'Reilly, referring to a racist joke he made about Democratic Representative Maxine Waters. O'Reilly commented on the air Tuesday that Waters' hair looked like a James Brown wig, set off a torrent of criticism from hypersensitive liberals. And I found about 6 articles on that. I did not bring them to the table this evening because I figured you probably would pee your pants laughing, and I didn't want to do that to anybody. But you know, yes, it did happen, and yes, I think it's hysterical and true. But we shall digress back into the article. The Fox News host catapulted with an apology later in the day, addressing the issue again in his network show, The O'Reilly Factor. And there is video of that if you want to see it. The article continues. It says let's see. One of your own California Congresswoman, Maxine Waters, was taunted with a racist joke about her hair, Clinton told the crowd at the Gender Equality Conference. Now, too many women, especially women of color, have had a lifetime of practice taking precisely these indignities in stride, Clinton said, but why should they have to? And any woman who thinks this could be directed at her is living in a dream world. Or any woman thinking this couldn't be directed at her is living in a dream world. Funny how the feminist champion did not have any sisterly support for White House Counselor Kellyanne Conway when Democratic Representative Cedric Richmond made a crude and sexist joke about her. The Louisiana congressman's vile comment at Conway looked familiar on her knees at an Oval Office photo. sparked outrage from even liberals. But while even Chelsea Clinton slammed Richmond's remarks, for which he would not apologize, her mother remained conspicuously quiet. Imagine that. Yeah, it's okay for the Democrats to bash the Republicans, but it's not okay for the Republicans to bash the Democrats. Hypocrisy at its finest. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up, share it on your social media. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that yet. And I'll see you in the next episode.